Hi, meet the Mullers, Joanna and Florian and their twins, a boy and a girl. Farming has been a strong livelihood passed along many generations for the Muller family. They are organic farmers who work hard and produce vegetables of a supreme quality, but with little payback. However, this isn't what matters to them. The pair tend their fruits and vegetables delicately and appreciate the earth. Years go by, and with what used to be a sufficient income, they now find themselves struggling. After all their bearing fruits, they are rewarded with a measly paycheck. But they don't see another option, as they also don't want to give up their ecological beliefs. Yet, they still continue day after day.
So where was the gap in the market for an EU organic farming ecolabel? In general, for food products, the primary production stage is responsible for the most significant environmental impacts over their life cycle. There's a significant gap in the labeling landscape of food in that most existing labels do not consider the processing life cycle stage of such products in their criteria. There is confusion among consumers, and they aren't completely sure where the money they spend is going.
In the Muller's family case, their well-attended produce isn't being considered by consumers, as bigger chains of mass-produced foods are taking over. Consumers don't know the difference between the food they are buying, leaving them to purchase solely based off the price. Until one day, 12 stars along with a bright green colour that symbolised the marriage of Europe along with nature, made up this tiny sticker that resembles quite a lot. What most would never look twice at, after extensive research, our group realised it means so much more.
Consumers would expect an environmental label for food to be organic and to cover not only environmental issues, but also social and ethical issues. There is also significant consumer confusion in relation to the number of environmental labels already on food products. Developing and verifying eco-label criteria for food would be complex, resource-intensive, and costly. If the EU organic farming eco-label were placed on food products without a significantly resourced communications campaign, it could cause consumer confusion about the meaning of the label, particularly given the use of the word eco in relation to organically certified products. A majority of key stakeholders do not support the extension of the EU eco-label to food products.
As awareness of ecological problems spreads around the globe, people have in big numbers started to change their diets in order to contribute to saving the planet. Consumers start shopping more consciously, and the producers adapt. So over the past decade, one field of production has exploded in size: the organic farming industry. As the EU defines it, organic production is an overall system of farm management and food production that combines the best environmental practices, a high level of biodiversity, the preservation of natural resources, and the application of high animal welfare standards. In the EU, this means following the 4 key principles amounting to: firstly, no use of pesticides and synthetic fertilizers; secondly, severe restrictions of antibiotics; thirdly, no allowance for GMOs, which are genetically modified organisms; and fourthly, the rotation of crops. To ensure this, the European Union has founded an ecolabel to subsidize and control this kind of production. Thanks to this, organic farming has become a lucrative and sustainable business, and the sales of the organic food market have increased an overall 80% since 2012, adding up to 37.4 billion euros in 2018. Aims of the ecolabel include responsible use of energy and natural resources, maintenance of biodiversity, preservation of regional ecological balances, enhancement of soil fertility, maintenance of water quality. To indicate organic farming products in accordance with the EU standards, the EU hands out the EU organic farming logo. Products with a 95% or more organic ingredients can be certified and found with this on the market, also always given information about the origin of the farmed materials.
However, for the Mullers to fully engage and get the greatest benefit from being involved in this eco-label, they would have to go through a process including abiding by regulations and making sure all of their produce is organically grown. This is all down to the certification process. This will ensure that the EU Organic Farming Eco-label maintains a high standard, unlike our friend Fair Trade.
Because the Müller family has decided to become a part of the organic farming community, they look up steps of becoming a EU certified farm. When browsing through the internet, they discovered that the EU selects criteria for being admitted to labeling products as organic and applying for subsidies for all of Europe. But for achieving this, they have to get in contact with the local body of their country, as the EU gives the responsibility for control and enforcement, and thus for certification and labeling, to the particular states. The state then gives this task into the hands of an official ministry or a private certification company. In the case of the Müller family, in Germany, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture hired private companies to serve this purpose. As the family gets into contact with the responsible certifier, they are being informed that becoming an organic farm will take some time. It is part of the conversion that, depending on the produced goods, it takes 1 to 3 years of using the organic methods without labeling their products before they can actually receive the EU Organic Farming Certificate. After that, they will be inspected yearly and must undergo multiple controls.
For companies that decide to use the Ecolabel and use produce from farms such as the Müllers, it was a great stride of achievement for farmers like Joanna and Florian.
In discussing the pros and cons for firms having this ecolabel, there are many key findings. One of the advantages of firms having ecolabels is the visibility it creates for their products. The consumer survey revealed that labels are seen as valuable tools in making purchasing decisions, and the majority of respondents, when presented with a choice, indicated a preference for a product that was both EU ecolabeled and organically ecolabeled. This information was provided by Helmut Sengschmidt et al. The disadvantages of such criteria are that they can lead to a shift of environmental burdens when practices or ingredients are substituted, as well as hampering innovation. Output-based criteria can be more economically efficient and provide a transparent link with environmentally positive results. A number of initiatives are underway at the European level to develop environmental footprinting tools and multi-criteria methodologies, and these might, in the future, provide the basis for developing more output-based criteria for products. They will not be without challenges in terms of the cost of assessment and the need for cooperation and openness between market actors throughout the supply chain. Also, for the introduction of this ecolabel onto products, there are a lot of costs and efforts that go into the certification process. However, it is an investment for these firms that engage with the label. There is evidence that there is a long-term payback.
After suspicions circulated in the Müllers' town, when people began to question the validity of these products, they wondered if every product with this ecolabel came from a trustworthy production line, such as the Müllers. The Müller family had some conversations with friends, and they said that they don't trust the EU Organic Farming ecolabel completely. Since the Müller family had a rose-tinted view about the ecolabel and were in strong support of the ecolabel, they were surprised. But since they also want to be open to any criticism and comment on how to improve the label, they researched optional flaws within the label.
And to their surprise, they found quite some in the research report from Jessica, Josephine, Tristan, and Frederick. They found out that some products actually do receive the label without fully meeting the requirements. The Müllers worked very hard to meet the requirements to get the label, and therefore thought this was quite unfair. Then they discovered that this issue, among other things, is due to the fact that some checks and requirements differ between the countries in the EU, and thus no common ground exists. Moreover, they read that some products cannot be traced back to its origin, and thus its production, since they are being imported. However, they are being used and labeled as organic in the EU, which leads to traceability issues. This information shocked the Müller family as well. All in all, they were very understandable of the trust issues regarding the label from their friends, but at the same time, they understood that these problems in the label are issues that can easily occur and also be treated. And since the Müller family wants to keep the consumers buying their products and not face trust issues, They want to advocate for a change and thus improvement within the label. So the question to you is, what should the Müller family advocate for, and what should the EU Organic Ecolabel do to improve these flaws?